And here's the ground track for Orion as it passes well to the west of South America. We're just 1 minute 44 seconds away from entry interface, moving from south to north to its splashdown target west of Baja California.
Minute 44, Eli.
Just 1 minute away from entry interface.
Are those?
Best.
And this view from the cabin camera, looking out of the upper hatch of Orion, you can see the limb of the Earth. We're going to be losing all of the data here shortly once we enter into the Earth's atmosphere and begin the first of the two blackout periods.
Artemis.
Standing by for entry interface and the first of the two blackout periods. We are now in the entry phase. Entry interface has begun.
Yeah, look.
Entry interface at 400,000 feet. Orion traveling just under 25,000 miles an hour.
Because it's going to hit the atmosphere. Create friction.
We've gone into the first blackout period. This is a visualization based on what should be happening at the moment, where the temperatures around the heat shield are reaching about 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the moment of truth for Orion. We should be coming out of this first blackout period just under 4 minutes from now.
Look at the velocity. It is going 20,000 miles an hour.
Orion should be traveling about 23,326 miles an hour at the moment.
We go 50.
Range to splashdown, 3,125 statute miles. Again, this is a visualization of what should be happening with Orion at the moment, although we are in a blackout period that should end about 3 minutes and 15 seconds from now. Once we emerge from this first blackout period, we'll conduct the skip entry maneuver.
The reason why they have that
will further dissipate heat and energy.
So what that means
is begin a very dramatic
reduction
in the velocity of Orion as it approaches its splashdown site. Clocks here in Mission Control showing the sequence of events yet to come. The first blackout period to end about 2 minutes and 18 seconds from now. The second of the two blackout periods would begin about 6 minutes from now for about 7 minutes, followed by the jettisoning of the forward bay cover. That will begin the sequence of the deployment of the parachutes. First, a pair of drogue chutes, 3 pilot parachutes that will then pull 3 main parachutes to begin the final moments of Orion's descent back to its splashdown in the Pacific Ocean.
Missing 40 thousand.
That's the
1 minute to go until we come out of this first blackout period.
Still.
When we emerge from this first blackout period, we'll be at an altitude of 274,000 feet, traveling just under 17,000 miles an hour with a range to splashdown of 2,000 statute miles.
The ocean.
Then they're gonna go after the people.
Well, there's nobody on it. Not this one. Next one will be.
Wait,
Hey, there's our timeline. We're almost to splashdown. So they have naval ships out there ready to grab it and pull it into the ship. There's helicopters and speedboats and
where are those?
yeah.
Out in the whole. How many boats are? And how many
Standing
helicopters?
by for a reacquisition of signal.
I think there's 302. I talk.
Oh, right. I love how it just goes complete. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay between us and.
And we have data from Orion. Orion out of the blackout period.
Here's the Orion.
Here's the Earth.
Yeah.
Flight Dynamics reports that Orion is right on the money, coming right down the pike. A good view out of the cabin camera looking out of the upper hatch of Orion. We should be performing the skip entry maneuver momentarily.
Money.
Good communications established with Orion. The second blackout period to begin about 2 minutes from now.
Give it a sec.
Orion is at the apogee of the skip entry maneuver, beginning the second in a series of role reversals, again banking maneuvers to bleed off excess inertia and to dissipate heat around the spacecraft. The start of the second blackout period, about 1 minute and 13 seconds from now, will come at an altitude of 270,000 feet, with Orion traveling about 16,400 miles an hour, range to splashdown less than 1,000 miles.
11 minutes. Then we should get video from helicopters.
Helicopters?
Coming up on the start of the second blackout period.
Blackout.
Second blackout.
We should be in that
There's
second
another?
blackout period right now. Orion approaching a velocity of 20 times the speed of sound.
Oh, wait.
If all goes as planned, we should be out of the blackout period with a solid lockup on the vehicle at 11:31 and 46 seconds a.m. Central Time.
Are we gonna the airplane?
5 minutes, I would think they would switch. This is just showing you what NASA's doing. Look at all those computers. They got laptops with 2 monitors each.
But that one has 3 though.
Yeah.
I have 4.
Yeah, that guy has 3 too. That guy has 3. That one, I think they all have 3 actually. No, that one I think's sharing. That one's sharing, but they all have their laptops too, so that's 4. Oh, he even has a tablet. See him? Little tablet right there.
And with me, 5. So he has 5.
This is Mission Control Houston, the airborne
fine.
WB-57.
I think
one of the
that stuff.
airborne assets to track Orion's return to Earth as
Science.
visual
I think he's a
acquisition of
camera
the
guy.
vehicle.
No
Yeah,
science.
he's a camera guy.
Oh yeah, he is.
He was.
We should be
no
coming
room
out
to
of
do
this
from the
second
front.
and final blackout about 30 seconds from now. And helos flying off the deck of the USS Portland now have a visual acquisition of Orion as well. At an altitude of 174,000 feet, traveling 12,600 miles an hour, range to splashdown 288 statute miles.
This is an airplane.
I think that's a helicopter.
A helicopter.
They're tracking it. I don't see it. Oh, there it is.
So that's a.
Oh, that's.
So there.
This view on the deck of the USS Portland.
The USS Portland.
Look, it's live.
You think?
Because there's a red.
Well, that guy was like, "I'm not supposed to be on camera. Get off the camera." Oh, there we go.
And there is a view out of the cabin camera
I think technically
of Orion as it continues a series of role reversals. We have data back from the spacecraft.
Well,
Flight Dynamics reports Orion straight and narrow on a true course toward its splashdown site. Forward bay cover jettisoning less than 3.5 minutes from now.
come on, stop.
150,000 feet off the ocean.
Your clouds.
Clouds. What is that yellow thing right there?
Tape.
Why is there tape on the window?
5.
Orion now traveling at Mach 10.
Look, I can see a whale
I don't see it.
in the clouds. The whale cloud. Oh, it's rotating.
Really?
Orion's speed now down to Mach 6.
Why not?
I want to be.
Why?
I don't want the engine going. I'm
Ever.
and
2 minutes until forward bay cover jettisoning.
You can always jump out of the spaceship if you make it.
That's where
Orion,
this
100,000
fucking
feet now. The spacecraft about to go subsonic.
step aside. Well, there's the sun. Oh, it looks like it's.
It's the spacecraft's rotating.
I thought it was subsonic. Subsonic
Sonic the Hedgehog.
the Hedgehog.
45 seconds until forward bay cover jettisoning.
Watch me go.
Orion now at 50,000 feet. Forward bay cover jettisoning.
minutes.
Pyros are
Oh.
armed.
Blast off. Boom.
Or like splash down, boom. Where it's gonna land in the ocean.
I land in with you. Yay!
3 minutes 51 seconds.
How do you know?
And it off.
Sun's coming to us. Here comes the sun. Or are they going to the
25,000
they're not
feet.
going to the sun because we're going the wrong direction. 2,500 feet up.
how do you know?
Drogues have been deployed.
Oh. Parachute stuff. I think that's what pulls the parachutes out. I don't think that's actually the parachute. Maybe it is. Yeah, it is.
Two good drogue shoots reported by the recovery team out in the Pacific.
Like
The descent rate is right on the money. Orion's velocity now down to 282 miles an hour.
macaroni
Range
bag.
to splash down 1.5 miles.
Or macaroni.
Half miles.
10,000 feet now.
Cheese. Down in my dog and bacon and macaroni.
Parachutes.
Three
And
of
we're
them.
on mains.
There's 3.
5,000 feet.
Oh.
They're opening.
Reefing in progress.
Just need. Wait, are they gonna fly away?
Catching it so it doesn't slam into the water going. Miles an hour.
What happens if it does?
Everything will get destroyed.
Or the glass will
3
just
good main shoots for Orion.
unfold. Just need.
Just gotta
We
believe.
have 3 fully inflated main shoots. Time to splash down 90 seconds. Perfect descent rate reported.
Oh, one of a kind. Whoops.
Getting foggy.
Oh, I can't see them.
Going through a cloud. As it is to see parachute.
gotta say parachute.
There it
That's
is,
it.
Eli.
What is that black
And
thing?
there it is, high over the Pacific, America's new
November.
ticket to ride to the moon and beyond now in view. Orion under its chutes, descending
Just
towards
need
splashdown.
1,000 of those little ones. And you'll be flying in the
Get right
Orion
in
in
the
the
moon.
perfect orientation for splashdown, just
is
seconds
it gonna
away.
splash in the splash down? Are we gonna see a splash? Just a water.
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet.
Good descent rate.
Options were on.
Wait, are we going?
We're getting close.
$500.
500.
It used to be.
I know. Countdown, because that's how close they are to the water now. Folks are focused on the ship. There it is.
Splashdown.
That was big.
From Tranquility
it's
Base
floating?
to Taurus Littrow
Supposed to
to the
fly.
tranquil waters
You
of
don't
the
want it to
Pacific,
sink.
the latest chapter of NASA's
Where else
journey
do
to the
you-
moon comes to a close.
Oh yeah, it'll go down a
Orion,
little bit.
back on Earth. Unofficial splashdown time, 11:40
That's cheer. Wait, are
and
those
30
things gonna sink?
seconds a.m. Central Time.
That one's still going.
Yeah.
At a mission
Well,
elapsed
it's,
time of 25 days, 10 hours, 54 minutes,
It is.
50 seconds. That's unofficial. Splashing down off the coast of Baja,
Be
California.
yourself now. Did see.
The crew module uprighting system now being inflated for the bags currently being inflated.
The orange in the water.
But yeah, that's what keeps it from. Or are you talking about the parachutes?
And we have a report that Orion is stable one, upright, the way it should be. Once again, splashdown occurring at 11:40 a.m. Central Time, 9:40 a.m. Pacific Time, west of Baja, California, after a textbook entry for the
Well, the
Orion
blue's doing
spacecraft
already.
bringing its 25-and-a-half-day mission to an end.
Making their way over there.
You don't want to be anywhere near because you don't know exactly where it's going to hit. Like perfect. You don't want it landing on your ship.
Wonder if you're.
Orion's recovery beacon is on. We have confirmation that 4 out of the
wings?
5 crew module uprighting system bags have fully inflated, standing by for word on the 5th one. But Orion is in great shape, stable one, just in the orientation that had been expected.
Scratch your fingers. Oh. That this been fun. Attach that coat. You just come with.
That's what they're gonna drag it back to the big boat. Yeah, they're gonna hook tow cables to it and drag it back.
This is Mission Control Houston. Once again, the Orion spacecraft, having completed a journey of 1.4 million miles,
4 million.
bobbing gently in the Pacific Ocean.
Biden.
4 out of
ahead,
its
Steve.
5 crew module uprighting system bags have been deployed. We're standing by for word on the 5th. However, irrespectful of that, it is in stable 1 configuration in good shape, according to the recovery team. And we are now receiving word that all 5 of the crew module uprighting system bags are fully inflated. So that's exactly
All
what we
5.
had hoped for. Orion safely bobbing up and down in the Pacific Ocean.
Eli, the boats are there. Oh, and Eli, I just seen a boat go by. Well, no, I was just saying there was a boat that just drove by. Boat near the but I don't see it anymore. I don't know where it went.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at the Orion spacecraft that splashed down about 6.5 minutes ago at 11:40 a.m. Central Time, 9:40 a.m. Pacific Time. We are estimating that it splashed down around 5 nautical miles away from the USS Portland. The recovery ship and Navy boats and divers will be approaching the vehicle before long. The spacecraft is in what is called a stable 1 configuration, upright, just the way we had expected it to be. 5 perfectly inflated crew module uprighting system bags, maintaining a nice gentle configuration for Orion. First of the Navy helicopters now approaching the vehicle. And here in Mission Control, some of Orion's systems no longer needed are being powered down. Many of them will stay powered up for the next 2 hours while we conduct a series of test objectives to characterize the thermal conditioning of the spacecraft. That will be important for future data for crewed missions to determine how long the crews can remain comfortable inside a vehicle returning from the moon. We also will be conducting tests of the beacon and SARSAT system for maintaining tracking of the spacecraft, for recovery forces that will be approaching the spacecraft in the future. And coming up in the next hour and a half will be the reactivation of an ammonia boiler system that will provide cooling in the spacecraft, as it will when crews return from their missions on board Orion. This is Mission Control Houston. Reports from the USS Portland indicate that the first of two Navy helicopters flying in the vicinity of Orion, which is about 5 nautical miles away from the ship, indicate no damage to the spacecraft and no hazardous fuel leaking from the spacecraft. Good view of the helicopters and the initial Navy boats that will be approaching Orion a short time from now. Once again, the splashdown occurring at 11:40 a.m. Central Time, 9:40 a.m. Pacific Time. This is Mission Control Houston. Orion in the Pacific Ocean, having splashed down at 11:40 a.m. Central Time, 9:40 a.m. Pacific Time, around 5 nautical miles or so from the USS Portland, a textbook entry for the vehicle. On the USS Portland at this hour, my colleague Daryl Nell from the Kennedy Space Center, who's with the Exploration Ground Systems Recovery Team. Daryl, how did it look to you? It certainly looked textbook to us here.
I'd say that's a great description, Rob. Perfectly landed here in the Pacific Ocean, and that's been confirmed by the operations manager that I just spoke to. Watching it from the deck as an observer, we have, as you can see, some broken clouds in the sky, like right around 3,000 feet. But we saw those 3 full main parachutes pop out. It was a beautiful sight, probably just about several thousand feet in the sky, and then we watched that slow descent as the Orion crew module made its way down to the Pacific Ocean. Saw the splash, and then of course the assets aboard the USS Portland here immediately started making their way towards the splashdown site, and as you see live now, they are close to being next to the capsule. Now the helicopters that you see flying there, those are MH-60s. We have 2 of them in the air, and they are right now gathering high quality, high definition imagery of the capsule in the water. There's a spotter aboard. We have photographers as well. The doors are completely open on both sides of the helicopters, and so you can see them flying a circular track around the splashdown location. They have marked, if you can see it, you can see what looks like smoke coming off a location just to the left there. That is the boats having marked location where some of the debris has come down, the debris that was part of the separation event, the part of the parachutes opening event. So you have the sabot as well as the lid from the parachutes. All of that is being tracked by the Sasquatch team, and the Navy boats are marking that with floatable smoke grenades. All of that hardware the team wants to recover because there's valuable information and data in it. The helicopters will be out for another 20 minutes gathering imagery. You can see one of them getting very close to the crew module. There is an GSS camera, ultra high definition, 8K, which is gathering imagery. We are currently on course to go right by the splashdown location, so we are right about 3.5 miles and closing. We are going to a point that's going to be 1 mile out. That's our next waypoint, 1 mile out from the splashdown location. One of the things we're waiting for is for ammonia boil off, and that's why the Navy boats are not yet next to the capsule. We're still going to wait that out. The amount of time that that's going to take is has not been determined. They have allowed for as much as 2 hours. The ammonia on the capsule is used for cooling purposes, to keep the cabin cool for crew. Of course, there's no crew in this capsule, but for future missions, it will certainly be an important part of keeping the astronauts cool during the heat of reentry. But for now, they're going to vent off that ammonia, and as they do that, it's not quite safe to get close to the capsule with the Navy divers. So of course we'll keep our eyes fixed to the location, our cameras as well. The USS Portland's standing by for our next waypoint, 1 mile from the splashdown site. And then once the completion of the ammonia boil-off, the Navy boats will be going in. A spectacular sight from out here, Rob. Toss it back to you.
Thanks, Daryl. Back here in Mission Control, the entry Flight Director Judd Freeling on the left. To his left, Flight Director Rick Henfling. And with me on console here, probably none more important than the NASA Administrator, Bill Nelson. Senator, thank you for joining us today.
Rob, I'm overwhelmed. I'd say it's good to see you, but this is an extraordinary day.
I remember years ago when I saw you return on Columbia from your mission into space, and it all conjures up a tremendous amount of memories. Orion back on Earth, having circumnavigated the moon, having survived a critical test of its heat shield, I think you have to be hesitant to celebrate and throw confetti a little bit too early, but it certainly is an important achievement, is it not?
It's historic because we are now going back into space, into deep space, with a new generation. Kennedy just stunned everybody with the Apollo generation and said that we were going to achieve what we thought was impossible, and did that in a short period of time. And many things have happened since, but we knew we were going back, but we knew we were going back to the moon just to continue to explore outward into the cosmos. And so that's why this is a defining day. It is one that marks new technology, a whole new breed of astronaut, a vision for the future that captures the DNA of particularly Americans, although we do this as an international venture. And that DNA is we are adventurers, we are explorers. We always have a frontier, and that frontier is now to continue exploring the heavens.
We had to wait a while for Artemis to finally get to the point where the Space Launch System got us underway back on November 16th. But once it did, these engineers and the other members of the team's front room, back room, they've been pretty giddy over the amount of data that they've required and how this vehicle appears to have exceeded its expectations in its performance.
The whole vehicle, the rocket, the European participation in the support module, the spacecraft itself, Orion, performing so well that they added a lot of tests. And lo and behold, we're going to be up to our ears in data, thankfully. And of course, today the two main things that had to happen was that that heat shield had to work, and it did beautifully, where they can skip off the atmosphere and bleed that speed down from 25,000 miles an hour. And then the parachutes had to work, and they did it as well.
You know, the engineering, the design of this mission, all the work that will go into the next flight when a crew is on board, right, to orbit the moon. What does this say about NASA and the international partner cooperation and the partnership that ultimately takes us not only to the moon but beyond?
Well, it says a lot about our country because we don't do it secretively. We do it openly, and we do it with our friends, and we invite all peoples of the earth. And we are doing it also with commercial partners, because when we go into orbit on Apollo 3, we are going to rendezvous and dock with in this case, SpaceX lander, and the crew will go down to the surface. And then we have another competition going on now for another lander, so that we will have two landers. And again, this is the program of going back to the moon to learn, to live, to invent, to create in order to explore beyond.
50 years ago today, Gene Cernan, Jack Schmitt landed their lunar module Challenger on Taurus Littrow, the final lunar landing. It only seems fitting half a century later to the day, Orion back home.
And what a fitting opportunity that I had last night to sit with Jack Schmitt at the astronaut dinner and to talk to him about those experiences. 50 years, it's a long time, but look what we have done in the meantime. The space shuttle, we built the International Space Station, we brought in commercial partners. We now go to and from regularly the International Space Station with cargo and crew. Here we go. We've got scouts going to the moon that are commercial scouts that land, that take NASA instruments and scientific instruments in preparing us for the landings of our astronauts. And so it's a new day. A new day has dawned. An Artemis generation is taking us there.
And Orion continues to await the arrival of the USS Portland, which shouldn't be very much longer from now, and some flight test objectives that will be taking place over the next couple of hours before we here in Houston hand the vehicle over to the Kennedy Space Center recovery team. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, pleasure to see you today, and thank you so much for being with us.
What a day. Oh, it is my great privilege.
This is Mission Control Houston, 26 minutes after the return of Orion from its circumnavigation of the moon and a splashdown in the Pacific, a bullseye splashdown, just about 5 nautical miles away from the USS Portland, as had been planned. The Portland about to arrive near the spacecraft, as you heard from Daryl Nail, who at this moment is standing by on the Portland with the woman in charge of the recovery operations, Melissa Jones. Daryl?
Thank you, Rob. That's right. Melissa Jones, the recovery director, just came from outside the ship's control center where she was monitoring and, of course, managing her team in the midst of this recovery. So, Melissa, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is an exciting day.
What a day it is, right? We just had splashdown, and want to ask you, first of all, operationally, where do we stand and what do we have to go?
So we had a picture-perfect splashdown, and at this time we're gathering data. With the CM powered up, we'll get some flight test objective data on thermal conditioning, and we're doing some signal data with the tri-band beacons, making sure that we can see the beacons on the capsules and on the astronaut suits to prepare for Artemis 2. And once that is complete, the vehicle will be powered down by the Mission Control Center, and they'll hand that over officially to us here locally in the Pacific. And then we will approach the capsule and attach some lines to it and pull it into the back of the well deck.
And that's a delicate mission, right? Because you will be attaching lines, and through the use of Navy boats and then also a winch inside the well deck, and Navy sailors on the lines attached to it as well. It seems like a very delicate operation, especially getting in the well deck where waves will be sloshing around. And we've got already 4 to 5 foot seas out here in the Pacific.
Correct. So it is a delicate balance to try to control the capsule in the well deck with all the water that we have in there, and to softly land it on the cradle so that we can capture as much data from the heat shield as possible.
Now, as the capsule was coming down, just briefly tell me your reaction that moment that it splashed down.
So when they called capture from the helicopters, it was the most amazing feeling. It's just been a long time coming. We've been working this mission for a while, and we've done a ton of training. And every time you do training with a mock-up capsule, you don't have any of that. You don't have parachutes. You don't, hear it coming back through the atmosphere, the sonic booms and all of that kind of stuff. And today that actually happened. It's just amazing.
And your team, it's worth noting, has been out here a long time. From the moment of launch, you were on console, ready to support if something off-nominal happened, unusual. You were going to be able to recover that capsule wherever it was needed to recover. So you were working that and then stayed through Thanksgiving all the way to now, so it's been a long road.
It has been, yeah. Several of us supported launch, and then we deployed out here about 23 days before, and we're out here for Thanksgiving as a team. So we have been waiting for this and preparing for it for a while.
And it looks like you're doing a great job so far.
Thank you.
Good luck the rest of the way, Melissa Jones, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you
Appreciate
very much.
it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Rob?